So you just got your hands on the brand new iPad Air, and now you're looking for a keyboard, but you don't want to spend $269 on Apple's Magic Keyboard. Well, I've got something for you that you should know. Today we're going to take a look at the brand new Combo Touch keyboard, which is specifically made for the M2 and M3 iPad Air. We'll look at what's new, what's improved, and what's still missing, but we'll also answer the big question that some of you might have that's going to save you some cash is, can you use old Combo Touch keyboard from your iPad Air 4, Air 5? Spoiler alert, the answer is going to surprise you. Let's dive right in. Okay, let's see what you actually get when you pick up the brand new Logitech Combo Touch. Inside, you're gonna find the Logitech Combo Touch, which is in two parts. You have the detachable keyboard, which is very strongly attached, and the protective case. You have some quick start documentation and a warranty, which is gonna be 1 year. And that is it. It's simple and straightforward. No extra cables or chargers because, of course, the Combo Touch connects directly through your iPad's smart dock connector, which is gonna be here on the bottom of the iPad. And then also it's gonna be here on the bottom of Combo Touch. This means that there's no Bluetooth pairing, no charging required. It's pretty minimal, but honestly, the simplicity is the best part of the appeal. No, I would say maybe even the protection is probably the second best. But let's jump in to see the key features because there's some interesting features that are here with the Combo Touch. Now you still have the same sturdy polyurethane outer layer paired with a rigid protective frame. It offers solid drop protection without too much bulk. It's actually gonna be lighter than it was in previous years. Now the kickstand is gonna give you multiple viewing angles as low as 10 degrees, perfect for sketching or note-taking, all the way up to I think about 6 degrees, which will be perfect for FaceTime calls and make it much more comfortable, which is great because now that the FaceTime camera is along the landscape edge here, it's a lot more natural of an experience when you're using FaceTime. Now here's something that I noticed immediately is that Logitech upgraded the trackpad size. Now we'll measure the exact size shortly, but I can already feel that it's a little bit larger, giving a nice improvement. Now also Logitech tweaked the keyboard layout, which this may or may not be, you might or may not like this. We'll dive into that a little bit later on, but trust me, some of these changes will make a pretty big difference in the daily use, especially this key right here. Now there's one thing that's noticeably missing outside the box, which involves your Apple Pencil. And let's talk about that next. Now, whether you're using the $130 Apple Pencil Pro, the $80 Apple Pencil USB-C, or even this great Apple Pencil alternative from ESR called the Digital Pencil, there's something important that you need to know. Now, the Combo Touch does not offer a secure storage spot other than relying on the magnets, which are located at the top of the iPad, which, face it, doesn't always feel safe for a lot of people out there. Now, very simple fix, you can grab an inexpensive adhesive sleeve from ESR, like this one that I have. It attaches right to the back of your iPad, giving your pencil a nice snug storage spot whenever you're traveling, or maybe you just want to keep it there because you want to be extra secure. It's going to be right there, and it'll work with any of the Apple Pencils that I talked about. Now, everything I talk about will be linked down in the video description because this video is not sponsored by anyone and I purchased all these accessories myself. So if you buy something using one of the links down in the video description, it does help support the channel and I would appreciate that. Now here is a question that I've gotten at least 100 times, no joke. Can I use the Combo Touch from my old iPad with the brand new iPad Air? And look at that retro Apple sticker. Isn't that great? It's so beautiful. If you want to get one of these, I have a link down in the video description. I actually make these for all of your favorite Apple devices. But if we take this case, it's a different material for sure. This is like a twill fabric, where this is just polycarbonate. So if I take the iPad Air 6 and insert it here, does it work? Now, at first glance, it does seem to fit perfectly. The keys work smoothly and the trackpad feels responsive. Honestly, it's impressive that you still have this keyboard from, let's say, 2020 that works with the brand new iPad Air, and it feels just like it was made for it, even though it's several years later. So here we see the USB-C port on the bottom. The speaker grills are lined up. Oh, for the microphone, seems to be partially obscured. I don't really think that's gonna be a big deal. We got Touch ID, obviously, and then you have the opening for the Apple Pencil. So it does fit, and the keys work smoothly, the trackpad works smoothly. There can be some downsides, where obviously this is a several-year-old product, so if you're finding it, unless you can find it brand new, I don't know if you can, but you're gonna find it at a discount. But I would say that if you found that your old Combo Touch will work with the iPad case, hit subscribe because I've got a ton of other practical tips coming for the iPad, so I'd love to help you get the most out of your tech. Now, let's break down exactly what has changed and if the new Combo Touch is truly worth the upgrade. Now, if we look at the trackpad here on the new version, it's just slightly wider. Day to day, you will probably won't notice it, but I would say that just having a larger surface will help especially to kind of get accustomed to trackpad gestures. But I think the real changes are gonna be up top with a few tweaks to the keyboard layout that we see here. So here on the left, we have the new version. Here on the right, we have the old version. The screen brightness, we have the keyboard brightness, we have the personal assistant, we have screenshot, the media control keys, and then also we have the volume control keys. But I think the biggest pain point for people is going to be here, do not disturb in the top right-hand corner, where on the version we have the lock. Also, the globe key, which is used for emojis or if you want to change languages on your keyboard, is going to be smaller on the new version versus the old version. And then also the options key is just a little bit smaller compared to the old version as well. Now, looking at the trackpad, it does give you that full typing area. And what you could do is turn on tap to click if you wanted to go ahead and make sure that it taps anywhere that's going to be on the trackpad surface. But you could see here that the very front of the trackpad, it depresses more than the back. So it's like a springboard, but it does, it feels good. I wouldn't mind it at all. Otherwise, the typing experience remains largely consistent. You're gonna get that satisfying 1mm of key travel that the Combo Touch is known for, and people love it. Now, as great as the Combo Touch is, there's definitely a few downsides that you want to consider before purchasing this. First, if you're someone who loves to regularly type with your iPad balanced on your lap, so you're what we'd call a lap typer in the keyboard world, you need to be aware that this is not the most stable setup because you've got the kickstand that you need to balance, usually like on your knees or near your knees, plus the keyboard, and it's going to make things feel wobbly, especially if you shift around a lot. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the lack of secure Apple Pencil storage is a pretty big omission, I think, for a lot of people. The adhesive sleeve helps, but it's something extra that you'll need to consider. It's only like $10, but still, you don't want to buy something else. Just what's the point of that? Now, also, you need to finally remember that it doesn't really work unless it's attached. So once you take your iPad and disconnect the keyboard, the case itself, obviously you can still use the case, which would make sense, but the keyboard does not work. It doesn't have Bluetooth. It doesn't connect to your iPad unless it's physically connected to the keyboard case like that. So at the end of the day, is the Logitech Combo Touch worth purchasing for your brand new iPad Air? I think that if you want an excellent typing experience, a generously sized trackpad, and a flexible protective case, which really I think is probably the most appealing part to most people, all without paying the premium that Apple charges for the Magic Keyboard, then yes, the Logitech Combo Touch is absolutely worth it. But if you frequently type on uneven surfaces or the secure Apple Pencil storage is non-negotiable, you might want to consider other options. Now, if you're still undecided, I have some videos up here of other keyboards that are less expensive, maybe even sub $100 that you can check out and let me know what you think. If you have any questions, comment down below. My name is Mike. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, hit subscribe for more content just like this, like we talked about. I got other things coming your way. Here are some videos that YouTube thinks that you will like, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.